Boy, what an honor. I'm so touched. In fact, I'm in tears. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Stevens. I want to thank Elizabeth Stevens, the board of the Academy, David and Tina File, who put this wonderful video together. You're really wonderful. We've become very good friends. David, thank you for doing that. And I want to thank my lifelong friend, Craig and Anna Nelson, too, who have done so much for not only you artists here at the Academy, but for our California Art Club, too. You've supplied us with some of the great artists of our club, and we can't thank you enough. Our California Art Club has 14 chapters, and one of our most active chapters is our San Francisco chapter, and we hope to do a lot more with our northern participants and with the school, too. I'll tell you something about the Academy of Art University. I love this school. I really, really do. It teaches traditional art. You heard about my life when I was starting out. There was no one that was doing this type of art. Very, very few. And none of the schools were teaching it. You know, all the art schools that are so well and such high prestige, the graduates couldn't draw. It was really pathetic. And then Craig came here, and you and a number of other artists turned this place around, and it was incredible. And you all are so fortunate. I spent 7 years with my teacher, but I think you probably got more from your studies and your time with the Academy than I did. So you've got so much to recommend yourselves, and I know you're going to go forward. You know, I can look at all of you out in the audience, and I can see that every single one of you knows something that I don't know. I'm up here giving the talk, but each one of you has some particular amount of knowledge or wisdom or something that is unique to you, and find what that is and work on that and keep that always active in your art if you possibly can. Try to find out where your passions are. You know, one artist said to me one time, a very famous anatomist, Joseph Shepard, in Pietrasanta in Italy. And he was also a wonderful painter and a sculptor. He's mostly known for his sculpture. He said, Peter, and he said to my wife Elaine, most people work all their lives so they can have a living so they can retire. But artists work so that they can have enough money to keep working. And that is it. There is a joy. You know, Father Martin, that was wonderful what you said. I almost thought I don't have to give a speech. What you said was so perfect. There is a joy and a love, and you're doing something that is, you know, in essence, part of the Almighty, part of heaven. And you want to keep that and nurture that. For myself, I like to think outside the box a little bit and do things that perhaps are unique to me. When I was 31, I went on my first trip to Asia. I had met a young woman, and a very attractive young woman, and she said, Peter, let's go to India and buy some miniature paintings, and we'll come back to Los Angeles and we'll be able to sell them. And I thought, well, I don't know if that'll work, but okay, let's do it. Well, I found out that Bombay, or what they call Mumbai right now, was halfway around the world from Los Angeles. And TWA or United Airlines or American Airlines, I forget which it was, had a ticket that went around the world, and it was cheaper to go around the world, and you could stop just so that you kept going from west to east. So I went from Mumbai and went to Jaipur, and I picked up my friend Ida had given me $2,000 to collect paintings in Jaipur, India, and I collected some miniatures and carried them with me, and I just kept moving east little by little, and until finally I got to China. And China had just opened up. I was the first American artist to travel unescorted through China. And I landed went to Guangzhou first and then flew to Guilin. And at that time, you had to have someone that was a guide. And this guide met me, was a geologist. He said, first of all, why don't we extend your visa for 3 months and get these places, these different cities stamped on your visa so you can go there. Hangzhou and Suzhou and Shanghai and Beijing, many other places that I was able to go. And he gave me little cards to carry. And on one side of the card, it would have the English, because this is 1981. Not very many people spoke English in China. So it'd have the English on one side and the Mandarin on the other side. And so I'd show these cards and they'd say, I want what's good in your restaurant, what can I eat, or I want to stay in your hotel. And I was able to travel through 3 months through China that way. Interesting stories. Most of you can't see, but I'm a hairy man. I am very, very hairy. It's to my shame. I don't like it. Talk about thinking outside of the box. When I would go to the gym, if I had to take my shirt off, I figured out that I could cut little squares on my stomach, my hairy stomach, so they looked like I had a six-pack. And so I looked like I was really cut, really ripped, so to speak. And so I can remember I was painting in Guilin, but this happened all over China. Usually I'm sitting down, working in pastel or gouache, sitting on the ground, and I have my arms exposed, and I feel this little wind on my arms. And what it is some old guy is right next to me blowing the hair on my arms to see if it was really. And then I make a joke out of it. I pretend I was like Monkey. I go like that and run around, and they all thought it was very funny. I thought it was funny too, but anyway, they'd never seen a hairy person before. Well, I did it was kind of interesting because I would travel for 180 days for 6 months, and I'd come back with exactly 180 paintings, like a painting a day. Some paintings I wouldn't be able to get anything done. I'd be touring the town. Other times I'd be sick maybe a little bit, and then other times I'd do 3 paintings a day. And I did this again in 1987 and went through Western China, Chengdu, Tibet, Dongguan, the Silk Route into Pakistan, Afghanistan, and finally Bhutan, and came back, and we had a big art show. And I can't tell you, it was the biggest art show I'd ever done. I had 115 paintings in the exhibition in West Hollywood. And we figured we couldn't hold enough people in one night of openings, so we had 3 nights of openings. And so the first 2 nights I happened to sell very, very well. I was very fortunate. It wasn't exactly a sellout. We had 115 paintings, but I probably sold maybe 70 or 80 paintings. That was pretty good. I was really excited. So what I did was the 3rd night when we had the openings, I put on costumes that I picked up along my travels. I had a wig with braids that went down the middle of my back with black hair. And I had Rajasthani earrings that hung down over my head. And I had a Tibetan scholar cap on, and other things from Thailand and Burma and other places, Myanmar. And I noticed a very attractive young woman that came into my show that night with a friend of mine from the gym, and that ended up being Elaine, my wife. But she didn't know. We met, we talked for a moment at the gallery, and then I saw her 3 days later at the gym. And she said, and I said to her, "How did you like the art show?" And she said, "Wasn't the artist fantastic?" And I said, "I was the artist." And she said, "No, you weren't. You don't look anything like the artist. The artist had long black hair and a braid and everything else." And so that was how I won my wife, was sort of thinking outside the box and doing something that was originally me. Now, I know with Craig and Anna, they are a couple that is so meaningful. And we all learn in school that 1 and 1 make 2, right, in first grade. But I really think that in my case and in Craig's case, 1 and 1 make 11, because I have the power with my wife Elaine to do much more than I could have done by myself. And I try every day to impress her, to try to do something to win her respect. But she said to me, I've never been as proud as seeing you receive this award. So I want to thank the Academy, and Elise, thank you very, very much, and thank you all very much.